Welcome to Gunner and Chef, Beers, Bikes, and Byways. How's everybody doing? Hopefully great, and hopefully you're subscribed and liked.
Got some cool stuff going on today. We're here with Mr. Gustafson.
They call him Gus for short.
Yeah, my friends call me Gus.
His name is Ryan Gustafson, and he lives out here in the beautiful town of Clover.
And look at all this cool stuff he's got for us today.
This is the biggest plate of food I think that I'm ever going to eat by myself.
I've been curing meats for about 3 years now. I started with prosciutto as an alternative to ham. Just kind of tired of everybody hamming everything. I was looking for something a little different. So I started playing with wild game. And when I started raising my own pigs, reserving some shanks to do prosciutto.
So you're making your own prosciutto, and you said you didn't like the hamminess of ham. Is the thing that bugs me with most hams is everything is full of sugar. And being diabetic, I don't want honey cured, sugar cured, brown sugar cured, all of that kind of stuff. I like salted ham, the old country style. That is good to me.
My prosciutto is simply salt and thyme and high quality pork. Everything you see here was butchered on site. The prosciutto is a Mangalitsa cross. Actually, this is pure Mangalitsa, one of my select breeds that I've been working with for the last 3 years.
Mangalitsa, what is that?
They are the woolly pig.
Oh, the cute ones.
Very long, bristly hair, pretty gnarly looking. This is not Mangalitsa. This was a breeder that would never get bred. I'd like to highlight the difference in color there. I hope you guys don't mind I touch your meat a little bit.
No, it's not.
As a family show, my fault.
Yeah.
So the dark red
there's a difference,
with
definitely.
the marbling, that is typical of Mangalitsa. There's one other prize breed for Charcuterie. I don't have that on site. They're raised in Italy. But if you are familiar with Samin Nasrat and her documentary, Salt, Acid, Fat, Heat, there's a book of the same name. She features the other fine charcuterie pig. So,
wow, interesting. I didn't know that they used specific ones for that.
So I started in wild game as well as pig, and I sort of targeted this breed after I started to like what I was making. Wild game was really popular. It comes out, even the prosciutto, more like the Bresaola because there's such low fat content.
Right, yeah, none.
This Kappa or Capicola, gabagool, if you're familiar with Soprano.
The Sopranos and gabagool.
Gabagool.
Again, not Mangalitsa, so the marbling I would like to indicate is not as pronounced as you see even in a shank, which should have less fat overall than the crown. You see better marbling and striation of that fat. And finally, I've got Guanciale here. This is the jowl. Guanciale means pillow. So it's that big fluffy, I think you guys can relate. We've got pillows here a little bit.
Yeah. Ouch.
That's what we'll be eating today.
And also today, of course, we have to have a beer, so we are doing a little Sam Adams Cold Snap White Ale.
Because this is actually Gunner and Chef Beers, Bikes, and Byways. And today, charcuterie. Cheers. We knew we were going to eat today, so what we did is we just said, okay, we're fasting until we eat.
Yep.
Because we knew this was going to be amazing.
I'm honored.
Well, we're honored. Thank you, Ryan.
Yeah,
it's my
appreciate
pleasure.
you having us over.
Let's do it.
Okay. What do you guys want to try first?
What do you recommend?
I think we should start with the Bresaola.
Okay.
The thinner the piece you grab, the better. It did cure a little bit longer than I would have liked, so it needs time in a humidity chamber to kind of re-soften. So the edges are going to be a little bit more firm. The color's beautiful. Bresaola is an Italian dried beef. It is typical to have it rolled in pepper. It calls for juniper berries, so I crushed those. There is some sugar in this one. 1-to-1 ratio with salt. 1 14-day hold. You do a dry rub, pour off the water, rinse, and return to dry rub for another 7 days, and then it cures for about 4 weeks.
Wow, that's really
cool. So this is 6-week-old Bresaola.
Cool. So should we dig in and
Please do. Use your fingers. Even the edges are totally edible.
Very tangy. I like that.
There's a juniper.
Yeah.
This one is about 3 weeks older than the other one I pulled out. I like this one better. It's just got a little bit more. The salt is milder, and I can really feel the taste the juniper come through.
Well, that's really good.
I don't taste any of the sweet in it.
No, not really.
That's good.
It's not overly salty because you think, oh my God, salt cured. You're not going to be able to eat it, but No, not at all. And how long does it take start to finish to make this?
It's typical to use the top round or the eye of round for the Bresaola. So it'll come out. I like to freeze everything. I'm not super well read. I'm mostly doing this like an anarchist, just getting dirty and throwing it under the house. So this house has a wood box. It holds apparently 8 cords of wood, according to the previous owner. I found that it maintains pretty constant temperature and humidity. So in the height of summer, it doesn't push past 60. And in the dead of winter, it doesn't drop much below 40.
And so that's your sweet spot.
That is my sweet spot.
Yeah.
Okay.
Starting a prosciutto, I have one to go in that has just come out of the dry cure. It is a large shank, 35 pounds, which means it spent 35 days in salt. So then it will go under the house and continue to lose moisture. It should reduce in weight by another third after about a year. 10 months is the minimum. I do have a small shank that I was split for the purposes of this program, but otherwise I like to keep things 8, 10, 12 months. It is not uncommon in Italy or Portugal or Spain to, when your grandson is christened, to order prosciutto in his name. And then after 15 years, at a special birthday, a wedding, you bust it out and you'll have a prosciutto that is very well aged.
Yeah, I know they age that stuff forever.
The longer you age, the more complexity you have. You think about your scotches, your bourbons.
Oh, yes.
That is wines. That is part of the desire with time. So everything you see here today, with the exception of the Bresaola and some additional spices, is really just salt and thyme. My hope is high quality pork.
Yeah.
Or beef.
Palate cleanse.
Awesome.
Skull.
With all the Italian stuff, it should be salute.
Salute.
This is Guanciale. Excuse me as I fat finger it. That one's already sliced. So this is the jowl of the pig. It is adjacent to the cheek. Not every butcher takes the time to harvest it, or if they do, it often goes into the sausage bucket. You need to be careful when you harvest it. There are some glands in there that will be an off flavor.
And this is raw, right?
Everything is raw.
Yeah, but I mean, is it cured and everything already? Because you said raw earlier when you were getting it out, and I thought, okay, so does that mean fresh raw, like sushi, or, you know?
Right. This has been curing since April 1st. This is appropriately salted. It's not too salty.
It's less salty than the other.
It is. And I like that, but I do have to be mindful when I use it in cooking. This is, in the pasta dish we're making today, our only source of salt.
Right.
Other than knowing this was a little bit less salty than my last batch, I also heavily salted the water, which is common.
Yeah, you always want to do that with pasta.
Exactly.
Yeah, that's got some tart to it. I'm very susceptible to tart. I can pick it out in beer. I can pick it out in food. That is absolutely brilliant.
I love how creamy the fat is in there.
Yeah, that marbling
it's just
luscious.
It's almost like butter. It's so good.
A lot of people are turned off by the quantity of fat there, but when they taste it, it kind of melts away. Sweet cream butter.
Yeah, it's delicious. Very, very good.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. It doesn't get more simple than that,
Yeah.
but I think you'll find simple is good.
Couldn't agree more.
Simple's always good.
Yep. Some of the best recipes are the ones that are just so simple to make.
Would you guys like to try the prosciutto?
Oh,
Yeah,
yes,
absolutely.
please.
Okay, so this is the original batch. You're welcome to try the fat. This came off of a boar. What happened was I had a friend say, hey, I really like to breed what you're breeding. It turned out that he decided he wanted to go AI, so I ended up with an extra boar. There's nothing wrong with it, but I can taste the boar taint.
Right.
To me, it tastes like finger paint smells. Again, nothing wrong. What I find so interesting is female members of my family and household can't taste it.
Really?
Interesting.
They can smell it in the bacon. They can smell it sometimes in a pulled pork, but they cannot taste the fat once it's absorbed by the meat or even individually. And I find that to be really interesting. Is there something testosterone related
That's
there?
what my mind's thinking, yeah.
I have no idea. This is ordinarily you
Competition.
wouldn't. Yeah, ordinarily you wouldn't harvest a boar for charcuterie. I'm still in the let's go nuts phase, and I thought, why not? What if the complexity gives it? The boar taint is something that is highly sought after. What if it makes compared to antelope? What if that's palatable? Emu, ostrich.
Yeah, what if it makes it way better?
Yeah, we're going to move on to the prosciutto now. As I was saying, this is from a boar. It is full Mangalitsa. I can taste the part that makes it boar. I'll be curious to see if you guys can as well.
Okay.
So join me with some prosciutto if you would.
Yeah, let's try it. Can't pick it up. Now I just want to taste the fat.
Go for it. Won't hurt you. I can taste it. Not bad.
It's on the back of the tongue.
Absolutely.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. It's hormonal. It has to be.
Yeah,
So-
there is a little something there, isn't there? That is weird.
It's a little residual musk in there. I don't know how to describe it.
Just by chance, I had this prosciutto out at the same time I was trying a friend's some mezcal that he brought in from Mexico. And it was high in saponin. Essentially, when they harvest this particular type of mezcal, it has a frothiness to it. So they process half the volume, distill half the volume because it foams up so much. So saponin, soap. We were eating this and drinking this mezcal at the same time, and I thought, there's some crossover here. What is it? In the fat, I taste that soapiness. Just
That's
a little
interesting because they do manufacture soaps from processed fats.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, definitely.
And I don't know where the agave brings that in. It is an interesting coincidence. And finally, we've got Capa, Capicola, or Gabagool.
Gabagoo.
This-
We got to try this.
This is off of a
Forget about it.
That's right. This is off of a Duroc, not the Mangalitsas that I run. She was going to be a breeder, and it just never happened. Have some Capa.
So now I finally get to be.
You say this is off of Duroc.
Durocs are typically, they can be black and white. They're typically black or orange in this area. I think the black and white, what you're thinking of, we call her cinnamon, sweet pig, very large, but would not get bred. And unfortunately, after 2 years, I couldn't justify feeding her any longer.
Right.
So now she feeds us.
That is really, really
Bless her
good.
heart.
That is delicious.
I'm glad you like it.
So far, that's my favorite. Excuse me.
Yeah,
Out of everything that we
I think
tried.
even the fat on that one is.
Yeah,
Yes.
that is wow.
I don't know. I really do. I really do like the old man here.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Well, you can take it home. I find Manchego to be one of the finest cheeses to pair with charcuterie because it is not salty. The meat's already doing the salt work.
Right.
Um,
So you don't need to compound that.
exactly. We're going to have some of Chef's favorite Capa with a slice of Manchego.
Hey, try the cheese by itself.
Sounds good. I'm gonna have another little chunk of this. I'll get that out of the way.
Well, that is interesting. I'd never even heard of it until today. Throw that in there with a little cracker.
Crunch, crunch, crunch.
Yeah.
Yeah, that cheese is just right.
It's just, it's kind of waxy. It kind of cleans your teeth off from the meat.
It mixes with that little flavor we were talking about. Oh yeah, damn good.
Thanks for giving me an excuse to bust this out. So you want to see how I make some of this?
We would love to see that.
Cool, let's do it. I started by saying that I wanted to do things different than your traditional ham.
God.
This is different. This is a dry cured ham. So this was 35 pounds. It's no longer 35 pounds. It spent 35 days in salt and then soaked for about 6 hours and then got hot smoked. Safe cook temperature, ready to eat. But I think it's quite nice. Dry cure with a little smoke.
That is magnificent.
I'm glad you like it.
Oh my God, it's perfect. You know, yeah, I think another 24 hours in a soak to alleviate some of the salt would have brought that down a little bit. But man, the smoke on there is perfect.
Glad you like it.
Great
Yeah, he's
job.
a smoke fiend. So,
Wow.
I
Yeah,
get it.
that's amazing. Yeah, I mean,
Yeah, it was delicious. It's quite tender, actually.
This would be great with split pea soup, lima bean soup.
ham and beans.
It will carry the salt probably for the whole pot. And I think, you know, I'd encourage people that are interested to reach out if as an alternative to your traditional beef or deer jerky, sausage, whatever, try prosciutto. Let me do one of those for you. It's salt and thyme, and I got both. I can have you have something that'll sit around and stay shelf stable, especially in the fridge, because of the salt
Right.
for years, and then vacuum seal it, freeze it. You could bust it out over the course of the next decade, as long as it's, you know, well cared for in the freezer. And this will be a principal ingredient in our pasta today. Pasta amatriciana is simply tomato. Whoa!
No.
Tomato.
It's a great haircut, though.
That is a pretty good haircut. Never chew with your mouth full.
Well, why would you want to chew with it empty? It's like people when they say, "Oh, I found it was the last place I looked." It's like, well, duh. You're gonna keep looking after you find it.
But you run the risk of going too dry, in which case it'll be pretty. I mean,
Jerky.
yeah, pretty hard to harvest.
Looks like an animal from this thing.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, it does go.
The barter system is alive and well in Clover and Buell. All the time we're trading meat for cheese and service for beer or cider, as it were.
And we play banjo.
Is that ding, ding, ding,
Okay.
I would kill to have an island like this.
You would never leave.